feel the breath. What does it feel like coming in through your nose and feeling you full and complete? And as you exhale and gently blow away, as if you're blowing out a candle, softly and gently, until you're empty, how does that feel? And as we breathe in unison together, breathe in fully and completely. And release into the space of now and here. And as you continue to breathe, allow all of your thoughts to just gently go by, softly, as if on a gentle river, flowing away from you. Gently releasing and relaxing with your breath here, now. Creator, great Spirit, giver of life and giver of breath, we come to you today in a good way, and we are only asking for good things. We come with open hearts and open minds. As our breath, we follow, knowing that it can be the greatest teacher of all. It is the breath that keeps us connected to the spark of you that is within each one of us, that gives us strength and power. And as we accept this strength and this power that resides within each one of us, comes responsibility to accept it in love. We call upon the direction of the east where the eagle flies and ask that the eagle lend us the acute vision to see all that we need to see. We ask that we accept the breath that gives us power and keeps us connected to the Great Spirit, to flow through us, to fill us up and remind us who we are and why we are here. We ask for the awakening to begin and to continue within us, through us, out into the world and into others. We're so grateful and so thankful for the winged nation that teaches us that we too can fly in our consciousness. We ask for the direction of the south, where the beautiful wolf and coyote will bring us intelligence to live in community together. To have the intelligence to see the beauty that is within and see the beauty of being different. We ask for the fire to be ignited within us, Great Spirit. Tinkashala wakatanka mahio. Hear us as we ask and we receive. We call upon the great direction of the West, where the bear will bring us strength and courage to stand and to be strong for those that have no voice. We ask for the waters that run in Mother Earth's veins as her blood, and it also runs in ours, to be healed and activated into a new way of being, a new way of love, of kindness, joy, and compassion. We ask for the direction of the great white north, where our ancestors bring us the wisdom of the great white buffalo that sustains us, sustains all that we need and all that we are. Help us to be grateful and thankful for all that we have. We ask for the blessings of the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the creepy crawlies, the no-leggeds, the plant and mineral nation, the swimming nation, the water nation, the standing nation, the flying nation, and the star nation. We ask that as we are here together in community, that we will receive the messages that are needed for each one of us. That we may look to ourselves first and not be looking at how this can benefit others. Tinkasha, wakatanka mahio. Hear me. Gives thanks and gratitude for this community. So grateful, so thankful for all of the love that we share together. We're so grateful for this place that we can meet and we can grow and we can continue to question and deepen our knowledge. We give thanks for each person that's here and each person that could not be with us today, that will be joining us via the internet. We ask for blessings upon all of our families, the ones present, the ones that are not present, for all of our brothers and our sisters across the globe. May they find healing. May they find wellness. May they find happiness. And all that they need will be provided abundantly. Great Spirit, we give thanks for each other. And we know that this place only exists through you and through the giving of all those that visit us. We are so grateful and thankful, and we ask that all the hands that we're able to give today, Creator, please bless it back to them thousands of times over. Bring abundance and prosperity in their lives in a way that is so profound that they can see you at work. For the ones that may not have been able to give, but could give love, we ask that you will return this love to them in abundance, that you will bless them and bring them the energy in which they need to sustain themselves and this community. We walk hand in hand together as a standing nation. As the pine stands next to the oak, neither one says, let the other move over. Let us only make room for the hearts and the minds that want to feel with love and peace and joy. We give thanks for all the miracles, Creator. In our community, we have someone who is in a very serious car accident. And Creator, their car, all around them, was crushed, yet where they sat, there was not one dent. Creator, we see your hand at work here. We see your hand at work within each one of us. That you are us and we are you. You created us to do something. And we ask that today you bring this clarity, this intelligence, this strength, this courage, and this wisdom to fulfill our purpose fully and completely, that we will make this world a better place. We give thanks and ask all these things in the name of all that is. So it shall be. Amen. Ho!
Ho!
Thank you, John. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so last week we started with transforming the onion into the lotus. How many of you have felt like an onion before? Okay, I feel like an onion right now. Okay. But you really are just a lotus. You're beautiful in every way. You're amazing. If I told you that you had this power, that all the books talk about, the Bible, the Quran, the Kabbalah, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, we did a lot of verses from these holy books at our last meeting, showing how all the holy books talk about this power that's within us. If I told you you could save humanity fully and completely, you could make this world into a place where you wake up every day so thankful and so grateful to be here, that you wake up with such joy and such love that overflows from you, that you can make this world that world, how many of you would do it? You have that power. Each and every one of you. It is within you. All the holy books have things in common. Some of the language is different. For instance, if I say, where is the bathroom? Is it the same as donde está el baño? Sí. Different language, same concept. Where's the bathroom? So I'm going to invite you today, especially if you're new, to take away the judgments of all the other religions and the belief systems and people that believe different than you, or that act different than you, or maybe they walk different than you, or maybe they're still caught up in the body. They're still caught up in the worldly things. Instead of having judgment on that, let's place that to the side for a moment and just be a witness today. A witness. A witness is somebody that observes but does not get emotionally entangled. The Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. I love Buddhism because it believes that all of our suffering is because we're attached to the outcomes of things. And it's through that attachment that we suffer. And that if we could just be a witness and watch and observe, and not be attached to the outcome, then there would not be any suffering. It just would be. So, looking at peeling the onion and finding the lotus, everything that we are is affected by everything that we see, we hear, we feel, we touch. Everything that we allow into our energetic flow affects our energy, positively, neutrally, or negatively. How many of you have loved? I mean, love so deeply, so profoundly. How many of you lost a love? And that love that you felt so deeply and profoundly hurt so deeply and profoundly. I say that we're brought into each other's lives because you're here to teach me something. I'm here to teach you something. For you are the teacher and the student. And so am I. That the Creator speaks through each one of us. The Great Spirit talks to you all day, every day. Are you listening? Are you hearing? Or are we too busy with our radios blaring and our TVs blaring and our Facebooks and our Twitters? And we don't have time to listen and to hear. The Great Spirit whispers in the wind and tells us stories through the birds. Are you listening? Can you hear them sing your song to you? A song of remembering, a song of who you are, a song of why you're here, a song of your purpose. So when we look at ourselves and how can we blossom into this beautiful lotus, when around us, how many of you would say, we get all the encouragement to blossom into a lotus out in the world? Go ahead. Go ahead if you feel like when you walk out there, everybody's like, oh yes, I will fertilize you and I will bring you sunlight and I will bring you water and I will love you until you blossom. Not so much, right? Not so much. Not so much. So this is something that's an internal process. It's something internally done. So many of us, and I've watched this in my walk, and I don't know if you've seen it in your walk, but in my earth walk here, you know, when I was younger, you know, probably about your age, very long time ago. Very long time ago. I walked with some things called judgment. First, towards myself. I was judging myself every which way I turned. And the way I was judging myself is I was judging others. I would never do that. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. How dare them do that? I can't believe they did that. Can you believe that they did that? Oh my gosh. So I had a lot of this, and I started finding myself being put in prison. A prison that there was no way I could live up to it. I couldn't live up to not doing all the things I said, how dare them do? Because this is the earth walk. And through our earth walk is our lessons, right? So if we're allowing things into our system, whether it's through our eyes, our ears, all of our senses, it's going to affect us in some way. And so if you look, mind, body, so you have your mind, you have your emotions, you have your physical body, right? You have your spiritual body. So last time I talked about driving in a car, and if you only had one tire that was inflated, how would it ride? Some of y'all rode in a car today. Some of you did. Was it a nice ride? Yeah. Because I'll tell you, when one of your tires is flat, just one, you know it. Now think if you have your mind, your body, your spiritual, and your emotional are all playing into this. So when we talk about blossoming into this lotus, we can't just look at one aspect of ourselves. Because number one, we are expansive. We are incredible beings. You are so expansive that you cannot even begin to comprehend how expansive you are, because we swim through the ocean of forgetfulness when we come back here for our earth walk, so that we can have an unadulterated experience, not influenced by our past experiences. So how are your tires? How are they? Have you given them a little kick here and there? You know, you're supposed to check out your tires, right? Aren't you? You change the oil in your car, don't you? Check your tires, put gas in, check the oil, get it serviced. Are you doing that to you? Are you doing that for you? Are you doing that for your body? For your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, your spiritual body? Most of us don't do. We don't, right? How many of you can honestly say, I kind of neglect myself? You can be honest. You don't get smacked here. It's first bringing it into the conscious awareness so that you can do something different. So if we're looking at our physical, our mental, our emotional, there are also other things that we look at. If you look at, how many of you have heard of the Tao? Okay? So when they talk about the Tao, they have different, everything martial arts, because it's the physical, nutrition, again, physical, mind control, mind, emotions and sexuality, rejuvenation, strength and immunity, traditional Chinese medicine, and wisdom. So they've broken it out a little bit more, right? So they said, okay, instead of it just being mind, body, emotion, and spirit, we're going to break it out even further. So everything that we do is going to affect us either positively, neutrally, or negatively. So we look at the 7 dimensions of wellness. There's lots of different wellness. There's social wellness. Did y'all know that? Social wellness. Social wellness. Your ability to relate and connect to other people. We're beings. We're communal beings. We want to live together. We crave human interaction. And then as we get older, we start retracting. Because we've had just about enough of that human interaction. That human interaction, that can go somewhere else because you get hurt. It's true. But we do. So we start retracting away. When in actuality, our strength is in numbers. And I'll keep saying this until we all get it. You pick up a twig and you can break it. But you pick up a bundle of twigs and you put them together and they cannot be broken. When we are in community, we cannot be broken. We're like the standing nation. We stand side by side, hand in hand, locked in. And we gain our power from each other, where 2 or more are gathered. So we need each other. I'd love to say you can evolve and become spiritual by going and being a hermit on the mountain. But actually you cannot. It's an impossibility. You need other human interactions to propel you into that enlightenment. And a lot of that enlightenment comes through trauma. We were having a conversation, was it with you, that I was wondering about when we were talking about the consciousness, and we were talking about how there's a war on consciousness, and there's a war on certain people, and certain races, and even certain genders. And there's this war to keep us divided. And I questioned, I said, well, is it the people that are becoming so enlightened, for instance, the African American community that has been repressed for a long time, or the Native American community that has been, it's hard to verbalize it's atrocious. But did they become so enlightened because of that? Did the chicken come first or did the egg? Was it through the trauma that the enlightenment happened? Our culture lived in harmony with nature, and this is how we knew that we were in harmony, was because when everything stayed in the flow, right? And this is how you'll know when you're in harmony, when you're staying in the flow. If things are hard, ask yourself, is it hard because maybe your guides are trying to say, thanks for playing the game, but you're sidestepping? You know, Jeopardy, where they hit, isn't it Jeopardy that they, I haven't watched TV in so long, I don't even remember it. But when you look at yourself and you ask yourself things about your relationship, maybe it's a personal relationship, maybe it's your husband or your boyfriend, or maybe a friend, maybe it's a sister, maybe it's a brother, maybe it's a father, maybe it's a mother. Is there resistance? And if so, then something's out of balance, something's out of flow. Does this make sense? That will tell you beyond anything else. So you have social wellness, emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, occupational wellness. Ability to get personal fulfillment from our jobs. How many of you, be honest, Amos, right here. You absolutely adore your job. You get such fulfillment out of it. You wake up every day and you're like, I cannot wait to go. Most people wake up and they go, I cannot, I don't want to, aren't I sick? Something wrong with me. I shouldn't go to work today. That's occupational wellness, intellectual wellness, and physical wellness. So when you're looking at all these different dimensions or ways to be well, this is who we are, because we are expansive and we are an energy. This is our physical body, but you really can't see how far out I emanate. You might can feel it, but you can't really see until we start doing things like Kirlian photography and all of that. Then you can see how far out you go. So when we're looking at these things, we want to do a little bit of research. And the research suggests, it actually is quite amazing, that strong scientific evidence suggests that individuals who regularly participate in spiritual worship services or related activities, it could be a Native American ceremony, it could be a lodge, it could be a Mayan fire ceremony, it could be any kind of spiritual wellness. And the reason why I have to stop is because people want to say, oh, it's only this church. Your church is not a place. It's not a building. Your church is you. So whatever you are participating in ceremony, in a sacred way, it shows actually who feel strongly that spirituality or the presence of a higher being or power or sources of strength and comfort to them are healthier and possess greater healing capabilities. Greater healing capabilities. Research shows positive correlations between spirituality and decreased rates of stroke, cancer, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, drug abuse, suicide, and general mortality. It has been suggested that faith is beneficial for health and healing because it helps people avoid unhealthy behaviors such as smoking and excessive drinking. Well, there could be an argument. There could be an argument here. I mean, I point out the good and the bad. I don't know about you, but I've been in many religious institutions and a lot of people excessively drink and smoke. As soon as the church doors close. You know? So we're not here to judge, we're all here on the earthly walk. But what it's saying is that if you have a strong spirituality, you tend to be healthier. How many of you, if you're sitting here, you have a strong spirituality? You came out on Sunday. You got yourself out of bed. You got yourself dressed. You got in your car and you drove here. That means you're pretty committed. Because you want to come here, right? So that's a commitment, isn't it? If you're sitting here, you're committed. So you're already getting health benefits from it. It goes on to say Seventh-day Adventists in various countries have lower mortality rates than the general population. This has been attributed to the lifestyle advocated by the church. They advocate a lot of healthy eating, fruits and vegetables. They advocate very strongly keeping your physical body well. Whether it's yoga, whether it's Tai Chi, Qigong, whatever the art form is, I'm not here to tell you, just do something for your body. Your body was not meant to be sedentary. Your body wants to move. It's abnormal for children to sit on a couch and play video games, you guys. It's unhealthy. Here's what I tell my kids. Minecraft. Mind meld is what we call it, mind meld. My daughter's sitting there playing mind meld. I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I'm building a fort. I yanked the plug out and said, get in the backyard and build a fort. Like, let's touch some trees and some dirt, some leaves. Let's connect to what that is. Because through all of our senses, what is happening? We're being influenced either positively, neutrally, or negative. You get among a standing nation, you put your hand into Mother Earth's soil, let me tell you, you can't be angry very long. I want to see you try it. You get mad, go out by a river. Go out by a river, sit your your booty down, plant your feet in the ground without your shoes on, put your hands in the dirt, and tell me how long it took you to get unmad. All of a sudden, you forget that you were mad because you start looking at how the water's capping over the rocks, and it's beautiful, and it's white, and it's churning. It's almost beckoning to you to come play. Spirituality gives you strength, gives you health, gives you something to tap into, because every single one of you, if I ask you this question, I am, but you do not need to raise your hand because I already know the truth. How many of you just know that you're meant to do something really good? You're like, I was meant to do something great. I was meant to do something great. You may not know what that great is. And it may not be on the TV screen or being rich and famous. That's worldly things. But you just know deep in your heart and your soul and your spirit says, make me do something. Get me to do something. I want to do something so profound and so great that in that dash between the years that I was born, my dash is amazing. When I leave this planet, what did I do? Who did I help? How did I change this planet to be a better place? Through music, through art. Medicine is beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you. So all that we do, everything we do. Mormon women in Utah have the lowest rates of breast cancer found in any population in the U.S. Really? It's amazing, isn't it? Why? It's because of what they instill on how they eat and move their body. In addition to health behaviors, other lifestyle factors associated with religious faiths, such as social support and occupation, may also significantly impact health and mortality. Well, that's a no-brainer. A Danish study shows that people who attended church were 13% less likely to die during the 20-year follow-up period of them going to church. That's interesting, isn't it? These things are very interesting. I think the most striking, though, of the research found the connection between spirituality and health is the consistent evidence that being a member of a religious group and having higher levels of self-reported, I love this word. Who wants to say that word? Thank you, because it was not coming out of my mouth. I messed up that word so many times I can't even tell you. Are associated with lower mortality. In Corinthians it says, do you not know that you are God's temple? See, people get upset with religion. You're not upset with religion. You're upset with what man has done to religion. Let's be real. Let's be real. You're not upset that God created you. You're not upset that God made you into this masterpiece of an evolutionary being that is so powerful that you're like an atomic bomb on steroids. You're not upset about that. You're upset about how it's been twisted and changed. So when we're looking, and there's so much truth in these holy books. There's a lot of truth. You are your temple. This is your temple. This is the temple that was given to you in this body to encompass the incredible amount of power of your spirit. Think about it. They're doing all this research on the God particle, right? If you haven't looked up CERN, you may want to. I will just share it. CERN. YouTube it. So they're finding the God particle, and they find it has so much power, right? So here we have this God particle that's within us, this amazing amount of strength, this amazing amount of power that's in us. And this is supposed to encompass it, right? So we have to work hand in hand with our temple, right? If we don't, then sickness, disease, illness, things happen. Sit on the couch and eat McDonald's for the next 20 years. I'll talk to you on the other side. Do you understand? So that's your temple. Your temple can be degraded or it can be enhanced. So Corinthians goes on to talk about how, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you? The kingdom of God is where? Within. Okay? The Bhagavad Gita says it. The Kabbalah says it. The Bible says it. The Torah says it. God is within you. Romans goes on to say, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of what?
Your mind.
Okay, question. How many of you want to be judged by your past? How many of you want to be judged by your past? I don't. I'm not in my past anymore. I'm in now. And I'm always changing, and so are you. We're all changing. So if you don't want to be judged by your past, are you judging others by theirs? That's a hard one, isn't it? Because we have disagreements with our brothers and our sisters around the world, and we want to make us right and them wrong. And we judge them by their past, but we don't want them to judge us by our past. Now, that doesn't mean if somebody has consistently been ugly and mean and rude and crude, like consistently, they've never altered their behavior, they've been this way, they've been this way. It doesn't mean you go and hang out with that person all the time. You can create a distance, and it's okay to be that. It's okay to create a distance. Because you want to learn, right? But also at the same time, you have to ask yourself, is there a possibility that that person changed? And have I changed since that encounter? So if I'm transforming my mind, because most of us are being driven by our mind, are we not? Are you not being driven by your mind? How many of you have thought at least a couple of times in here what you have to do later today or tomorrow? Go ahead. You're in your head, right? Your brain, your mind. Your mind is telling you to do. So we have to transform our mind. So we're transforming our whole mind, body, emotion, and spirit. So if we go on in Corinthians, it says, but I do what? We don't like that word. How many of you like the word discipline? Really honestly, how many of you like the word discipline? So I have decided that I never say discipline to myself anymore. I say passion. Am I passionate enough? Because see, I have this disorder. It's called oppositional defiance disorder. It is actually a psychological term. I was born with this. When I was 2 days old, my mom allowed somebody to hold me that I didn't want to hold me. I was crying. She wouldn't take me back. I held my breath until I passed out. She took me back. You tell me I can't do something, and I say watch. You tell me to do something, it will be a cold day before it happens. It's just it's something in me that I'm just, so when I hear the word discipline, what do? So I say passion. Doesn't that sound better?
Yeah.
Am I passionate enough to do that? Because if you're passionate about something, you'll do it, right? So if I'm passionate about getting in shape, which a lot of people are doing this time of year, well, it's about March, now they're starting to fall off, but typically, January comes around and everybody talks about getting in shape. I'm gonna walk every day, or I'm gonna do this every day. I'm gonna do that every day. You don't walk for the end result. You walk for the journey of it. You walk for the health of it. You walk for the benefit of it. You're passionate enough to walk. So you can use discipline if you're not oppositional defiant. But if that strikes in you something, then just take my word, you can have it, passion. Okay? All right, Matthew, it says the eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, guess what? Your body's healthy. Now, I just want to bring something to your attention. Does it say your eyes?
No.
It's strange, isn't it? It just says the eye. The eye.
Wow.
It doesn't say eyes. It says eye, the eye. So this eye, in case you don't know that you have it, you do. We all have it. And people have called it many things. You could call it your spiritual eye. They've called it your sixth chakra. They've called it your pineal gland. They call it many things, but it's your spiritual eye. It's what keeps you connected. So the eye, not your eyes, but the eye is a lamp of the body. And we know the body is the temple, right? So now we have a temple and we have electricity. Isn't that beautiful? So we have both, all right? So here, it says there are people who can walk into a room. And how many of you know this? You know it. Somebody walks into a room and you just love them. Like when you walked into a room, I was like, I'm taking him home with me. He's awesome. Allie, I was like, I'm scooping her up. Man. I'm keeping them. You just felt the change. How many of you, when Allie came up here and was, you could feel it? You could feel her spirit. When Michael started singing, could you feel him? Could you feel it? Wasn't it amazing? And then there are those that come into a room and literally suck every piece of life out of it. How many of you have known somebody like that? We all have. Where they walk into a room and you actually, what was it? I told Scout that I found my hug sphincter. I didn't know my hug had a sphincter. I found my hug sphincter. I was at an event and there was a gentleman who really was liking me a lot. And he was coming to buy a lot for lots of hugs. And he would walk up and he would do this, and everything in me would go, no. I found my hug sphincter. So I say that sometimes when people walk into a room, you can feel that. You can feel when they're taking life out of it. You can feel that when they're giving life. So my question to you is, are you giving life? When you walk into a room, do people notice you? Are you trying to sneak in underneath the radar? Dim your light down. Be quiet. Truth telling up here. This is truth telling right here. It's truth telling, right? You try to sneak in under the radar. But are you adding something? Are you giving? Are you so strong that you're vulnerable? In that place where you walk into a room, your head is up and you smile, and you want everybody to turn around and look, because you're like, I'm going to bless every single person in this room. I'm going to give them laughter. I'm going to give them love. I'm giving them something. And if I sing to them, they might cry, but I'm giving them something. I'm giving them something. Right? How many of you are doing that? You walk into a room and you make it a point. I'm going to brighten it. You brighten it. Every time you walk in this room, I can tell when you're here. I can tell before I ever turn around. I feel her. I'm like, oh, she's here. I can walk in. I was busy over here. I could tell you. I felt you approaching me, and then I was trying to get in. I was like, but I could feel before you ever walked over. I could feel your energy. It's beautiful, isn't it? When you can bless others, and you can do that with your words, you can do that with your music, with your art, you can do that with your emotions. Rhonda, you do that a lot. You're like the biggest kid I've ever been in my life. Mischievous as the day is look, she gets that girl. But it lightens the room, it brightens the room, it's beautiful. Thomas Jefferson actually said, enlighten the people generally, and guess what? Tyranny and oppressions of the body and mind will vanish like evil spirits. Thomas Jefferson said that how long ago? Enlighten the people. Now, last time I checked, he was one of the presidents, right? He was one of the presidents, right? Yeah. How long ago was he one of the presidents? It's been a long time, right? But enlighten the people. It didn't say keep the people down, keep them quiet, take their money, take their health, take everything away, keep them divided. It said what? Enlighten. Enlighten the people. Because through your enlightenment, you're enlightening others. I don't know if you know that, but you are. Just your being. You don't have to do anything. Just your being. Just walking into a room does it. Kristen, you're changing the world. You didn't know that, did you? You're changing the world. You change the world every day when you go to work. You change the world when you walk in here every day. You change my world. your smile and your hug, you changed my world. And the reason why I say Kristen is because I also know Kristen doesn't really, she likes to go under the radar. She likes to be under the radar. But it's not time for that anymore. Under the radar is not time. That was a long time ago. Now it's in your face. Now it is, I'm here and I'm awake and I'm going to continue to be awake and I'm going to get so awake that you have no choice but to be awake. Spiritual wellness. Swami says this, and I love it. It's Paramananda. Okay? I had to practice that a lot. But it says, self-realization means that we have been consciously connected with our source of being. Self-realization means that we have been consciously connected with our source of being. Once we have made this connection, then nothing can go wrong. But so many times we're taught that what? You're separate than God, right? Be fearful. Be fearful of God. But I look at it and I go, but if you're fearful of something, you don't draw close to it. You don't want to be intimate with it. You go away from it, right? I don't want to be fearful. I want to have such an intimate relationship that I know all that there is to know about that source. And that source is showing me all that is made within me. So I want to seek it. I want to bang on that door. I'm not just knocking. Like I got the big, huge knocker, slamming it, saying, open the door. I want to know. Wayne Dyer, how many of you know who he is? I like him, by the way. I do like him. I like him. Do you want to know why I like him? Because one of the very first events that I was at, where he was at, we got into this conversation, and how many of you consider yourself a spiritual person? You're a spiritual person. Okay. How many of you try to stifle when you get angry? Because you're like, spiritual people don't get angry. I shouldn't be angry. I'm spiritual. I should be loved. I shouldn't be angry. Well, I loved it because you know what? He stood on stage and he lost his mind. He lost his mind. He lost his mind. Literally. He was like, y'all think we're all spiritual? He goes, we are spiritual. But we get up in the morning just like you get up in the morning. Sometimes we look in the mirror and we go, what the blah, 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 blah. Just because we're mad. Because we're here having a human experience. If you're not experiencing all that there is to be human, then you are cutting yourself off. The key is what do you do with that anger? The anger isn't bad. Feeling the anger isn't bad. That's not bad. It's when you come and use the anger for energy and motion to hurt someone. And that's where we have to learn to control and to have enough passion in our life that we don't lash out that way. So Dr. Wayne Dyer says the positive effect of kindness on the immune system. They did a study and said actually acts of kindness do something in your body. You could produce more serotonin. Who knows what serotonin is? It's the happy chemistry in your brain. When you don't have enough, you're depressed. If you have done extracurricular or recreational drugs, you burn it out. I see a lot of that. People are turning to drugs because they don't want to feel the pain that's in the world. So they turn to something that's going to either make them inebriated, altered in some way, an altered state, so they don't have to feel. It actually produces serotonin in the brain, and it has been proven in research studies. So if you're depressed, go out and be kind. I got the cure. Isn't that beautiful? So the next day you wake up and you're really depressed, here's what I want you to do. Do a study on yourself. Get up, and you're having a bad day, right? You're like, I just am not in a good place, I'm depressed. Go out and make it a point that day you're of service in some way. I don't care. Feeding the homeless, working in a soup kitchen, volunteering somewhere, helping out with the sick. Do something and see how long you stay in that funk. It's an impossibility. When you're giving to somebody, how many of you love to give? How many of you love to give them more than to receive? You actually love to give more than to receive. I love to give. There is something about the giving. Oh my gosh, it just makes my heart so happy. Now that we have research to it. Isn't that awesome? Research. Deepak, love him. He's a little bit flat for me with the way he talks. I can't listen to his books on tape. I have to actually read them. He says, your body, which is bonding millions of molecules every second, depends on transformation. Breathing and digestion harnesses transformation. Food and air aren't just shuffled about, but rather undergo the exact chemical bonding needed to keep you alive. The sugar extracted from an orange travels to the brain and fuels a thought. The emergent property in this case is the newness of the thought. No molecules in the history of the universe ever combined to produce that exact thought before. So they actually did a study. So we're talking about how to bring the lotus into, or how to bring the onion into the lotus. So last time we focused a lot on the food that we eat, right? We started our cleanse. You could either do, either a complete cleanse where you did the master cleanse and you didn't eat at all. You had several different ways that you could do this. We showed all the studies about how fasting increases your lifespan by about a third. Just to fast. And it's not even fasting like what we're used to, what I'm used to. I don't know what y'all are used to, but what I'm used to is fasting is you don't eat. Mm-hmm. You just don't eat. Like people are like, I'm fasting. I'm like, you're not fasting, you're actually consuming something. And they're like, oh, no, I'm on an all veggie fast.
King David fast is what they call it.
A veggie fast, or a juice fast, or a, But this was just with intermittent fasting. That means that you just picked one meal that you gave up. You're like, okay, I'm not going to eat dinner. A third of your lifespan's increased. So they did a study that said, in this study, they correlated walking. Some people want to go to the gym and do crazy stuff like CrossFit. And I was all about that when I was younger until I went to my labor room doing CrossFit, and then I decided that I was not doing that again. So in one study, older men aged 71 to 93 who walked less than a quarter mile a day were 1.8 times more likely to develop dementia than men who walked more than 2 miles a day. Dementia. Dementia is a neurological disorder of the brain. Okay, in another study, researchers from Harvard Medical School found that women aged 70 to 81 who walked at least 1.5 hours per week, not per day, per week, had less cognitive decline than those who walked less than 40 minutes per week. Again, a brain activity. So, walking is affecting your temple, right? Physical activity. In Proverbs, it says, a cheerful heart is good medicine. I love that. Good medicine. But a crushed spirit dries up to the bones. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flows the springs of life. If you take nothing else today besides this alone is a beautiful way to live. Your heart springs forth the springs of life. Your heart. The scripture goes on and talks about do not be troubled in your heart. But what do? How many of you have closed off your heart spaces? You know when you've done it. We've all done it. We've all done it. And here it says that that's one of our most important, that's where the springs of life flow from. Oh, I got hurt. She left me, he left me. I'm never gonna love again. And then, is that person miserable? Is the person that left miserable?
No.
What are you doing? You think you're hurting them? By sitting there, oh, yeah. Let's mourn and move on, because from our heart flows the springs of life. From our heart gives life. If you operate in your heart, that's when you change something. That is when big change happens. This talks about IQ scores. I'm just going to be very quick about it. Basically, before it was thought to believe that we were born with a certain IQ, that was it. There was no hope. other than that. God bless you. I hope you got a good IQ, because if not, you're kind of up the river without a paddle. I don't know what to tell you. That was until 2008. 2008, they found actually that there's a thing called fluid intelligence, and it affects your IQ. They also found that, believe it or not, lion's mane, which is a mushroom, actually increases your IQ. No, it's not a psychedelic mushroom. It's not a psychedelic mushroom. It's an actual mushroom that you eat. It gives you none of those properties. I don't want to see y'all out in the cow field at all. Okay? The lion's mane does not do that. Okay? But the lion's mane looks like, if you look at it, it looks like the way our synapses, when our synapses fires in our brain. And this is how the Creator made it so awesome. You cut a tomato, down the center it looks like a heart. Tomato's really good, low lycopene. It's really good for your heart. You cut a carrot in half, it looks like an eye. Ooh, who saw it? You look at a lion's mane, it looks the same as when your synapses fires in your brain. So it's really good for your brain. So, this is another quote from Steve Pavlina, and he says that embrace your unique path of growth, use your intellect and emotions to guide you in the conscious pursuit of truth, love, and power. Invest in creative self-expression, service, and contribution, and you will suffer no scarcity. Your greatest gifts to the world is to share who you really are. Romans goes on. Again, I come back to this. Why? Because it says renewal of what? Okay, so now we've got two important body parts, right? We've got our heart, which springs forth the springs of life, and we've got our mind that needs to be renewed, right? We have no choice. We have to renew our mind, be transformed, okay? In Galatians, it says, but the fruit of the Spirit is what? What else? Uh-oh. Okay, my ODD just kicked in again because I heard the word control.
Yeah.
So, again, I just replace it with passion. Against these things there is what? No law. No law to govern love. Now, how many of you know that there are laws to govern love?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Don't even get me started. I'm not even going to go down that road because I'll be tangent time lady. Crazy. No, I don't like it. What on God's green earth ever made us think that it's okay to tell somebody that they can or cannot love somebody if they're not hurting somebody? If you've got two people that are of sound mind and sound body, they're over the age of what is considered legal, which I don't understand. At 18, you can go die in the war, but you can't have a beer. Again, I'm like, something doesn't make sense here. You know, you can go die, but you can't have a beer. There are things that just make no sense. It doesn't. How does somebody's love for somebody else affect you? It doesn't. Who cares? It's love. Let's move on. Okay? To this, no law to govern what? Love. No law to govern joy. No law to govern peace. We don't need law. If you need a law to do the right thing, something's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. I had somebody actually do that. She actually said, okay, tangent time. Really quick, and then I'll go back to it. I got a story for you. You like stories? Here's a story. Okay, so this person was in a job that she was a court reporter, and she ended up being romantically involved with one of the parties that was in the court. And she would go to the other attorneys at lunch and be like, oh, you got any good stuff coming up? You know, and of course they're blabbing, they're telling her everything, and she's running back and telling the person she's involved with what's coming and all that. And when she got called, she was like, I'm not part of the National Court Reporters Association, so you can't do anything about it. And I thought, did somebody actually say that out loud? They actually said they needed a law to tell them what they were doing was wrong. If you need a law to tell you that what you're doing is wrong, there's something that we need to work with. I will work with you for free. For free, I will work with you. You don't need a law to tell you. You know in your heart. How many of you know? You don't have a law, but when you're walking past something and it's wrong, you just know it. How many of you just know? Your heart goes, something's wrong. They had to make a Good Samaritan law To make people intervene when somebody was being hurt? I don't know about you, but can you walk past anybody being hurt? I can't. I mean, believe me, I've put myself in situations you do not want to put yourself in because I could not just walk away. I was like, I cannot not, I have to do something. And my dad was like, you're going to get yourself killed. What are you doing? And I said, what if I don't and that person dies? Aren't I just as responsible for that person? He's like, yeah, but I kind of like my little girl to be alive. And I'm like, well, your little girl will be alive until the Creator decides it's my time to go home. And at that time, if I've intervened in the wrong situation, that'll be the way that it goes. But what a glorious way to die, for standing up for something, right? Each one of us want to stand up. How many of you want to stand up? Seriously, how many of you, in your heart, you're like, I want to stand up and say, what the heck is wrong with people out here? Go ahead, raise your hand. You can do it. It's all right. It's all good. We're all together. We're in it together. Here's how we can do it. By you working on you. By you becoming enlightened and you operating more in love, you will make that change in others. So, how do you have fulfillment? Don't worry, the next one we'll talk more about different things. Find your purpose. I can't tell you how many clients I have that come in and they say, I would like a reading. And I say, okay, what would you like your reading on? And they say, my life's purpose. My life's purpose. I want somebody to tell me what my life's purpose is. You're telling you your life's purpose all the time. What are you passionate about? What are you driven about? What sets your soul on fire with passion and desire? That is what your purpose is. People are like, oh, no, I can't do that because that makes me happy. I have to have a job that makes me miserable. I'm like, but you can be happy and do what you're doing. Does that? Because through happiness and through joy, you're at a higher frequency. It's much easier for you to communicate with the Creator, the Great Spirit, whether you want to call them angels, guides, helpers, passed over ancestors. My ancestors are with me. My grandmother, she will snap me into place in 2 seconds. Something comes out of my mouth that is not right, and my grandmother, ooh, she is right there. She's been crossed over for quite some time. I was scared of her when she was alive.
That's great.
I'm really afraid of her. Like, she pops up and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I didn't mean that was slip up. It was a mistake. But the joy, the happiness, because you're vibrating at a higher frequency. Find your purpose. Define your vision. Seek a mentor. Seek someone that you can work with. A life coach. It could be a life coach. It could be a good friend that just helps you stay on track. Your friends aren't here to tell you you look pretty. Your friends aren't here to tell you you look buff. Your friends are not here. A real friend tells you when you're messing up. That's what a real friend does. I don't want friends that tell me I'm doing everything right. I want a friend that says, hey, Selena, have you thought about this? Because, you know, kind of is perceived in kind of not the best way. And I go, huh, the tribe. It's interesting. I got it. I go, yeah, that might put some thought, right? Practice makes purpose. Get a coach. Form a tribe. Guess what? You're already part of one. Isn't that awesome? Look, you can cross that right off. We're done. Look, X, or check in the box. I got it. Seek a mentor. You got many mentors around here. Oh, look, you check. I got that. Get a coach. There are many coaches here. Oh, check. I got that. Practice makes purpose. I show up. I'm dedicated. I'm committed. Check that. Retreat. Retreat. And make time for yourself. If you don't, your guides will do something like what they did to me, and I love them. And they left me, and they did it out of love, and I'm so grateful that they did it out of love. But they made me very sick because I wouldn't stop. They came to me many times and said, you need to rest, you need to rest, you need to rest, you need to rest. And I didn't listen. I just kept pushing. And then they said, humans are so funny. They always choose the hard road. And so down I came with the flu. And I haven't been out of bed. Today, I got out of bed. For you.
We're glad you did.
I'm glad you guys came. I'm glad you came. Honor your intention. Create a ceremony for yourself to honor yourself. Honor what your intentions are. Your intentions are the most profound. I've said some really hard things to people before. Things that could have gotten me hurt. But because I did it with the right heart intention, I wasn't there to judge them, I was there to help them. They honored that and they respected that and they were like, I needed to hear that. It could have gotten real ugly real fast. But when your intention is in the right place, people feel it. They can feel and honor that. The Dalai Lama says, all major religious traditions carry basically the same message, and that is love, compassion, and forgiveness. The important thing is they should be part of our daily lives. Love, compassion, and
Forgiveness.
that's a hard thing sometimes, isn't it?
Yes.
And aren't we so quick? We're much faster to forgive somebody else than we are to forgive ourselves. Isn't that crazy? And then we self-flagellate. We do. We all do it. I've done it. I was watching, what was I watching? The Fountain, where he was flogging himself. He was the monk and he was taking this and beating himself on the back. And I was like, oh. But that's what we do. Just because we're not actually holding something to beat us, we do. We all do it. So I'm going to ask you something. The next time you find yourself not forgiving yourself, not honoring yourself, not loving yourself, not creating your intentions, I'm going to ask you right now, think of someone that you adore in your life. Someone that you just love so much and you want the best for. Like you want so much for them. You see such goodness in them and such love in them and such power in them. Think of that person. The next time you find yourself self-flagellating, not forgiving yourself, I want you to think of yourself as that person. Would you be forgiving that person? Because you are the most important. Without you, we can't make the change. We can't. We can't. We all need each other. So I'm going to end before we go into our last meditation by this, and I want you to close your eyes and just listen to these words as you breathe. Breathe fully and completely, and exhale and release. Releasing stress and tension. Releasing maybe anything that I said that might have pulled up some old stuff that doesn't feel so good. And as you exhale, allow it to flow away from you. Be gentle with yourself. You are living through a major expansion of your faith and how you use it in this world. You are rewiring decades of old beliefs and shifting how you live your life. This is no small feat at all. It is okay to feel uncomfortable. Great change often brings with it discomfort and second guessing of oneself. Do not shrink back from this mission, not now. You are changing, and your divine self is shining the way. Now breathe that in. Breathe it fully and completely. Accept it. Allow yourself permission to be uncomfortable. Allow yourself permission to be okay. ever imagined. That through your awakening, you're awakening the world. Accept that. And as you accept that, breathe in the breath of life into your heart space. And ask the Creator to clear away any resistance, any areas where you've closed off your heart space. Great Spirit, Creator of all things, big and small, from the tiniest ladybug to the largest elephant, you have created us in such awe. We ask you, Great Spirit, Tinkashala Wakatonka, any places in our heart that we may be hiding, we ask that you clear away, that we let go and release and give back to you any pain that we have felt, any shame, any guilt. We release it to you, Great Spirit. For we know transformation can be challenging. But we have the faith in ourselves and the faith in you, Great Spirit, that we were made for great things. That this world is a world in which we can create a place of love, a place of honor, sacredness. We ask that we create it within ourselves first, Great Spirit. Creator, we ask you, help us to let go, forgive ourselves, to let go of the pain and the trauma, for it had many lessons. We ask you, Great Spirit, that through the lessons of today, that our heart will lead the way to a place of beauty and of awe and of power and of strength, a place where you will walk hand in hand with us, that we will create consciously this world in a better way, that we will love fully and vulnerably, that we will give of ourselves, for the strongest warriors are those that can give and that can cry. We ask that you'll fill us with love, that you'll heal us and heal our families. Heal each person that is in this room. Heal each person that is not. Heal all of our relations, the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the multi-leggeds, the creepy crawlies, the water nation, the swimming nation, the standing nation, the flying nation, and the star nation. Heal us of our judgments of ourselves and of others. Great Spirit, help us to walk gingerly, with peace in our footsteps, with love in our hearts and kindness on our lips. We send this love out to the four corners and beyond. May it only bring love and healing for all those that it reaches. As we ask in the name of all that is, so it shall be. Amen. Ho!
Ho!
Our next gathering is on the 15th, but we do have our Join the Community. I am going to